Good morning, everyone. We want to encourage you as you're signing in. We're going to give a little bit of time for our folks to get signed in, and then we're going to try to get started right away. But we'd love for you if you could use chat. Let us know who you are and maybe what agency you're with. Tell us a little bit about yourself. We are going to have an opportunity to interact with the presenters today. We'd love for you to use chat, and we'll talk a little bit more. We're going to do some housekeeping here in a minute. So I'm going to give just a few more minutes for sign in, and then we'll be getting started. Thanks so much. Okay, we're at the top of the hour, and we do have quite a few guests that have already signed in. I want to welcome you today just to make sure that you know you're in the right place. We're doing our session today around benefits and retention planning. I know this is a really hot topic for a lot of folks. We've got a great panel today, very excited to answer a lot of your questions, and we want to do a quick little run through of what the expectations are. But first off, I really wanted to welcome the Louisiana Developmental Disabilities Council to the session today. They are our sponsor. We work alongside them. They've been such an exciting group to work with, and really appreciate all the input they've given us to develop this session. And it's hard to believe we're almost coming to a close at the end of the month. But just wanted to give a shout out to that group and really thank you for everything and for allowing us to be partners with you in this endeavor. I want to introduce myself. My name is Laura Schroeder. I am a content strategist and producer with O'Neill Communications. I'm the producer of the series. I'm mostly going to be working behind the scenes with the panelists. We also have Kinsey Rowland from O'Neill. She's here with us today. She's going to be working behind the scenes. If you have a question, please feel free to use the drop-down box to the host and panelists. And if you want to ask any questions about the session, Kinsey can answer those for you. And if you want to ask questions to the group, please make sure you click on everyone so that everybody can see your answers, maybe to some of the information that's spoken today, but also put your questions in the everyone drop-down box. I did want to bring to your attention, we are repeating this webinar session on Thursday, so it will be a duplicate. Obviously, it'll be a little bit different because we always have different participants. But if you enjoy the session today, please share the information with your colleagues and friends and make sure you invite them to Thursday's presentation. We'd love for you to do that. We also have our upcoming session on June 21st. We are encouraging, if you know of folks who've been participating in the webinars, please reach out to them again and ask them to come. This is going to be a very rich conversation. It's going to mimic similar to the very first session that we had. We're really encouraging the voices of people with disabilities to be a part of the session. We're going to talk about where we've been and where we're going. Sue Killam will be our keynote speaker, and it's really going to be an exciting time. Jeff's going to lead us in a lot of great conversation. So please register. Also, Kinsey's going to put that link in. So it'll probably be a couple times throughout the session. You'll see the registration link. So take advantage of that or share it with a colleague. I did want to reiterate that we love interactivity. We know we have a tremendous community that we've developed as we've been doing these webinars. We really want to hear your voice. If you have a story or an experience, please share that in chat. As we come to the end of the session, we may also have an opportunity. If you want to raise your hand, you have a story or something you'd like to share, please do so. And then also, too, give our speakers a little bit of support today. If you can, use the emojis that are available. If they say something that that resonates with you, please share that as well. I'm not going to individually introduce each speaker. They're going to do so as they come on the session. But I just really wanted to give a shout out to this amazing team. They've put a lot of extra work on top of their jobs into the session today. We're really happy to have them and hope that you'll enjoy this session as they each talk about their subject matter areas. Obviously, Jeff Arsenault is somebody that many of you know already. He doesn't need much of an introduction. He's a phenomenal host and such an advocate. Jeff, I'm going to turn it over to you, let you introduce yourself and get us started today. So thank you everyone for coming.
Wow, Laura, thanks a lot. I want to thank O'Neill Communications for bringing me on again, following last year's series that I did with Gordon. Really, one of the things that the reason why I'm here is I'm really involved in employment. How am I involved? Bottom line is I need to work to survive. That's the real deal. That's how critical this topic is. Few things about me. I was born and raised in Louisiana. I moved to Colorado about 8 months ago. Got engaged, made the leap to the West Coast. I'm a coordinator, actually training to be a manager at TJ Maxx and Home Goods. And what I'm about to say is probably one of the proudest things of my life. I'm about to publish my first book in the next month or so. It's going to be called Just Call Me Jeff. And it's an autobiography about my life. And as I reflected on this seminar, I got bells and whistles because most of the seminars I can say I'm in tune with all the content. But this particular seminar, I'm not, because I don't receive waiver services. I'm dependent on full-time employment to make a living. And real quick, I'll share a story. I had a gentleman from LinkedIn reach out to me with CP on LinkedIn. We had a conversation and he was discussing some barriers about employment. And one of them was losing his waiver service. So automatically it stuck in my head that, wow, here's my opportunity to learn about these sorts of things so I can be a better consultant. So I'm really excited about this content, and at this time I would like to stop talking about me, though that's very hard to do, and I would like to get this seminar running with introducing Brenda Boyer. Brenda's a program coordinator at the Office of Workforce Development, which is Louisiana Workforce Commission. Brenda, why don't you introduce yourself first?
All right, thanks, Jeff. Well, as Jeff stated, I am a program coordinator at Louisiana Rehab Services, and I am responsible for all Ticket to Work duties, including benefits planning, which, of course, in a nutshell, is working how that's when we discuss how working and earning an income will affect your benefits. And the number one question that I receive is, how will my benefits be affected if I were to go back to work? And benefits planners such as myself, we really want to disseminate that information to you. It's important information. It will help ease your mind as you transition to work. And we want you to feel confident that you're going to get the information and the support that you will need. One of the main things that I hear is, well, someone told me And I usually stop them right there because sometimes that information is not correct, that they're hearing, it's hearsay, and it sometimes just doesn't apply to your individual situation. So instead of relying on what another person has said, or what your cousin gets, or what have you, come to us. We're certified benefit planners, and we can address all of your concerns. We can answer all that important information. And so get ready for today's seminar. You're going to be learning valuable information regarding Ticket to Work, regarding our service providers, and other incentives that Ticket to Work has. And the other thing that I want you to do is, once you do reach out to us and get some of the basic information, continue to keep in touch with us, because I have people in the very beginning call me as they're wanting information about what's going to happen if they do go back to work. But then I'm going to want them to also remain in contact with me when they're getting ready to go to work. And then that way I can establish real clear guidelines, give them exact calculations, give them clear guidelines on how to report wages. Because one of the most important things that we do is we help people report that information so they never go into overpayment. Regardless, you all are going to be learning valuable information today with all of today's presenters, and I am so happy to join you.
Thank you, Brenda. Really, once again, I can't wait. I do want to echo what Laura said about using our chat. Let's get engaged. Let's get involved. I really don't want us to look back in 2 hours and say, my goodness, I should have asked this. Why? Let's get engaged with the chat box. It's my privilege. I can't wait. I'm so excited I get to hear this man speak again. I worked with him for a few months at HTC. Stuart, I know he's a photographer, awesome photographer, and I can't wait to hear about how these benefits affect him today. Stuart?
But, well, can anybody see me? I turned on my camera, but I turned on my video from Zoom, but I think that but I can only see but I only see a black screen where my feed should be.
That's okay. We can hear you, buddy.
Anyway, the answer to that is my benefits don't affect me at all because I lost them all. The goal for me was not to keep the benefits, but to lose them and make sure that I was comfortable with my job because I knew that the benefits of my job would be greater than any benefits that I would keep with Social Security. I really wanted myself to be happy and I was willing to give up those benefits for something greater.
So, Stuart, you had a decision to make when HTC offered you a job. You had to weigh out both ends. Is that correct?
Yes, but it was an easy decision to make.
Because you wanted to work, right?
Yes, I did.
Oh, right. I like. And how are you doing today? You're happy with what you got right now?
Yes, I did. Yes, I had. Yes, I am.
Well, good. I appreciate your leadership and you attending this seminar. So do you have anything else you would like to add as a result of benefits?
Yes, to make to be sure, there are certain benefits that you can keep if you have an ABLE account. So and actually Jamie will talk more about that. You'll so if my mother's on the if my mother's in the participants, then just know that Jamie will be talking about ABLE accounts.
So let me ask you one last question then. What would you tell some of your peers that are challenged with this same decision of going to work or staying on your benefit plan? I guess, go ahead.
I guess you'll have to see there's enough information. If there's enough information about your job where you'd be working, whether the benefits are really greater than what you already have. But I tended to consider the benefits that I had from Social Security relatively small, and so it's almost always going to be the benefits from your job will be greater than the benefits that you receive from Social Security in almost all occupations.
Thank you, Stuart. What a tremendous speaker. There's a lot of planning that goes on in the minds of someone with a developmental disability in this area. You got to kind of weigh out all of the options, what you're gaining, what you're losing, and it could be a bit mind-boggling. That's why we need help. We need help from you guys. So right now, I'm honored. I do know Miss Liz, but I do not know Mr. Ray Leger, and I'm really looking forward to it. I'm just gonna let Ray and Liz introduce themselves. Ray?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Ray Leger. I am also employed by the LSU Human Development Center, operating a Social Security grant known as the West South Central Work Incentives Planning and Assistance Program. And along with my partner on this morning's session, who will introduce herself in a moment, Liz Fuzzle, we have we have over 20 years of experience providing benefits planning services to beneficiaries of Social Security here in the state of Louisiana. I originally began with the Governor's Office of Disability Affairs in 2001 and made a lateral move in 2006 with the Human Development Center. Before proceeding with my part of this collaborative session to myself and Liz, I want to make it a point of saying that to all of the employers and those receiving benefits from Social Security, that the information that we're about to share with you this morning may not immediately impact you or be of interest to you, but you may know someone eventually, whether they're a part of your workforce or whether you are someone receiving benefits with an interest in going to work, that the services that we're about to speak to you about will be of some interest to you. If we could go to the next slide. In 1999, the Ticket to Work Incentive Improvement Act was created as a result of an outcry of those receiving Social Security benefits who were losing benefits but didn't have any understanding as to why that was occurring. As a part of the initiative, Social Security response was to create this particular program. There is a WIPA program in every state, at least one in every state. And what the initiative tries to do is to expand upon the availability of healthcare and employment preparation and support services for working age adults between the ages of 14 and full age retirement. Now, full age retirement now depends on the year actually an individual was born rather than the standard age of 65. The initiative also connects beneficiaries with free, and I want to stress, free employment services to help them decide if work is right for them, prepare for employment, and find employment and be successful at it. Moving on, it also authorizes service providers such as employment networks. I'll expound a little bit about that particular component of the Ticket to Work initiative, vocational rehabilitation, and other agencies to provide services such as career counseling, vocational rehabilitation, job placement assistance, and training. The service providers you choose, meaning the individual who received the benefits, will serve as an important part of their employment team to help them on their journey to financial independence. Next slide, please. The total component of the Ticket to Work initiative, of course, would include the Social Security Administration. You have to understand, though, that the Social Security Administration is more concerned about assisting those who are applying for benefits and those who are appealing for benefits. The other four components of the Ticket to Work initiative then will provide various other services as I'll begin to explain to you in just a moment. Next slide, please. We'll begin with the employment network. We also call them ENs. They are private and public organizations that can help with career counseling and assist with job placement services, which includes helping beneficiaries understand how work may affect their benefits. Many employment networks serve the communities and the state in which they are located. However, there are some employment networks that do serve multiple states. They can provide long-term support to help you find, keep, and advance in employment. They can also, the EN and the beneficiary, I'm wanting to say, must mutually agree to work with each other. And the beneficiary then it signs an individual work plan, then assigns their ticket to the employment network. So keep in mind that the employment network and the beneficiary who receive benefits from Social Security has to collaboratively agree to work with one another before the submission of the ticket that provides the individual to receive the services from the employment network. Keep in mind now, I mentioned it before, there is absolutely no cost to the services provided to the beneficiary that is given to the by the employment network. That entity, upon providing the services and support to the beneficiary, will generally be reimbursed by Social Security for the effort and the assistance provided to the individual seeking employment or getting training for employment, or whatever the individual seeking the assistance from the EN is looking for the EN to provide to them. Next slide, please. Of course, there's VR, and my good friend Brenda Bohr spoke to you briefly about the services they offer, but I wanted to reiterate, they're part of the Ticket to Work initiative. It's about intensive training for employment, education, rehabilitation, career counseling, job placement assistance, and of course, benefits counseling. Now, there was a point in time where the benefits counseling component that VR now provides was the sole domain of the WIPA programs initiated by the Ticket to Work initiative. I began to speak about specifically what Brenda and I do in regards to the assistance we afford beneficiaries of Social Security. The next slide, please. WIPA, Work Incentive Planning and Assistance Projects. And again, each state has at least one project that are assisting the beneficiary of Social Security. And one thing about WIPA, and I think that many of the partners here in Louisiana will agree with that if we in and of ourselves are not able to assist an individual with their desire to understand how employment income can impact the disability benefits they receive, we can generally refer to another state partner who would better be able to assist that individual with their efforts to acquire and maintain employment. Next slide, please. The benefits of our assistance to beneficiaries of Social Security would include understanding the rules of specific work incentives and how they apply to each beneficiary. Help them to decide whether or not the Ticket to Work program is appropriate for them. To help them understand the potential benefits of employment as a person who receives disability benefits from Social Security, and dispel many of those myths and misconceptions about what happens to a person's benefits as a result of the income that they earn from employment. We help them to analyze how work and earnings may impact SSI or Social Security disability, Medicaid and Medicare, and other public benefit programs. That would include Medicaid waiver, which was mentioned earlier, SNAP assistance, veterans benefits, workers' comp, unemployment. So there's a myriad of other benefits that the individual may be receiving in addition to the Social Security disability funds that they're receiving that must be considered when we are assessing what is the monetary impact on the disability support programs that an individual is receiving. And not only the individual who received the benefits, but maybe a household member who may be receiving benefits that might be impacted by the wage earner amount. We also help them to understand the services provided by state VR agencies and the employment networks, how they might fit best with their needs. Once work begins, WIPA projects can also provide information and support to help beneficiaries make successful transition into work and become financially independent. Next slide. And then the final component of the part of the Ticket to Work initiative would be the PABS, or Protection and Advocacy for Beneficiaries of Social Security. This is the component that helps to protect the rights of persons who receive the benefits from Social Security. It helps them to navigate organizations and services to support their efforts to work and protect their rights, such as appealing decisions of a VR agency or an EN, requesting reasonable accommodations on the work site, college classes, training courses, and licensing programs. And finally, other disability-based legal issues that are barriers to employment, such as transportation. So in this basically pie that I have previously shown you, There is a great many different parts to that pie, each one providing a specific and designed service to the beneficiary in their desire to not only find employment, but what does that employment actually going to mean to those programs that supports me currently, until the time at which I can make a decision about financial independence or coexisting employment earnings with the benefits that they currently receive. Next. Okay, I'm going to defer this part to my partner, Liz Fuzzle. Liz?
Thank you, Ray. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Just want to remind you that there will be resource materials that is sent to you by Laura and O'Neill, so you don't need to be writing down a lot of notes here. My job here is to talk about the fears that employees have. And basically, a lot of employees don't disclose their disability to their employer. So they're afraid, because they're afraid of being found that they have a disability, that their relationship with their coworkers will change. What we know is that 39% of people who have working with disabilities have disclosed. So that's a lot of people out there who are trying to do the best they can without disclosing that they have disability or benefits. So one of the things that happens is when they start asking for their pay stubs and ask for the EIN, all of that is for reporting purposes. And employers are like, why do you need that? Why do you need that? Well, that's one way that employers can help is to make sure that those things are available to their employees. The next fear that employees have is of losing their check. That is directly related to making too much money or not reporting to Social Security. So those are things that employers can help people maintain. The third thing is losing their insurance. Again, everything is connected, right? So everyone wants to make sure that they're reporting and that they are enjoying their work, that they're getting the benefits that they are due, and both from the employer and from Social Security. The next fear that people have is overpayment. Brenda talked about this earlier. And one of the things, the first time I talk to somebody and they say, I get SSI and SSDI. I've been working 6 weeks and no, I haven't reported that to Social Security. As soon as I get the information that I need, I am going to loop in a call to Social Security and have the person report immediately, because it is just critical that people establish that relationship with Social Security and start reporting as soon as possible, because you do not want to get in that situation. So I've talked a little bit about how employers can help, just having that conversation with your staff to make the EIN available when requested, to make pay stubs available when requested, and also negotiation of hours. Sometimes people call and say, oh, I'm working too many hours. And their favorite thing to say is, Liz and Ray, how many hours can I work and still get my check? That's not what our job is. Our job is to say, here's the information, now you can make an informed choice. So sometimes the employee may come and say, can I cut my hours back this week? I've had someone call recently and say, I got a bonus, so that's put me over. So we're trying to figure that out. And what are the rules around a bonus that we can help her to when she's reporting to Social Security. So next slide, please. I think we need to go down to the next one. I'm sorry, I didn't keep up. There we go, to the how to contact us. So if you know someone who needs the information, needs to connect with WIPA to get benefit counseling, they can call the Ticket to Work helpline, and that number is there. It will be provided to you again. If you're an employer or you just have a question that you wanted to speak to Ray or myself, our information is there as well. So I appreciate your time, and give us a call and we'll get together. Okay, thank you.
Liz, can
Yes,
I
sir.
ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
You know, all my life I've been in retail. And if I get a new employee and I'm training and I say, I need you to merchandise this 3 foot. Well, that's kind of like this information. There's a lot of information here. And I almost feel like, how do, like for a 40-year-old guy with CP, what steps do I need to go through to understand? Like, is there somewhere I can go to spend an hour researching? Do I call you with specific, like for example, 5 years ago, I sat in a meeting and I didn't even know what whipper meant. I didn't know what ticket to work with. And that's some of the reason why I'm so excited to be a host on this seminar.
Yeah, Jeff, thank you. So if you're just wanting to go out there and look for information, there's a website called choosework.ssa.gov. And I don't know if that's on the screen or not, but you can, there's lots of information out there. There's videos, there's success stories, there's all kinds of information on that website. And it's fabulous to get there. The second thing is to call one of us or call the helpline and ask to be referred to one of us to get the information, because we're going to break it down. We're going to get the information we need, and we're going to start telling you exactly how things kind of flow for you. And I see Ray is back on.
Hi, Liz. Yes, if I could interject. Yeah, I'm sort of a visual learner myself, and I know that sometimes you hear the word WIPA and ticket to work, and it goes over the individual's head. Our jobs as community workers and coordinators is to speak with the beneficiary, or in this particular instance, the employer, one-on-one, to try and explain to the individual how does all of this apply to themselves. Once they contact the call center or the helpline, they're referred to either my program or Liz. Then once we are made aware of that referral, we'll contact the beneficiary. We're giving an allotment of 3 calls. Sometimes I go beyond that 3 attempt to reach the individual, so that we can sit down, discuss what are their concerns, what are their fears, what type of employment that they're going to be in, what level of income they're anticipating to earn. And we'll explain to them exactly what they should know, so that their focus isn't so much about the benefits, but about the new job and the new employment that they've just acquired. You know, we all worry about the bills we have to pay and all of that, but I can't be the best employee I can be if I'm worried about losing something that I desperately need to support me, especially in most cases, the health insurance more than the cash benefits themselves, although both are important. But I want to make sure that for those out there who are looking to hire individuals who receive benefits, and those who are seeking employment with the benefits, that there is an all-in-one source where we can speak to you one-on-one to make sure that it's person specific on the information that we're going to be providing that individual regarding their desire to work and what it might mean to them and their benefits.
I'm sorry. I'm looking for automatic mute button, but it's not there. So what you're saying is it's a lot like customized employment. Every situation, though it's the same, our wants and desires are different. Am I right there?
Absolutely. You're absolutely correct. Yes, it is. So, I mean, your situation, although there may be another Jeff out there, you know,
Nah.
also presenting with CP, will be much different. You know, your experiences, your backgrounds are quite different. So the information that we are going to share with you is going to be specific to you and not the other Jeff. Okay.
That does click for me because I mean, one of the things that goes on when somebody hears about a man with CP, it's reality. We get put in a box and we don't customize. We're all different. What I want out of life isn't exactly what Jamie wants out or Stuart wants out. We're different. So do y'all have anything y'all want to add before I move on to Sharon and Jamie?
I think I'm good. Thank you, Jeff.
Okay, I will remind you at the end of the seminar, we hope to spend about 5 or 10 minutes brainstorming with all the panelists. And before I introduce Sharon and Jamie, I'd like to remind y'all to use your chat messages. Let's get involved. Let's get engaged. Let's find out answers to these questions that we have. It is my privilege. I actually worked for Sharon for a year and enjoyed being with her every day. I can't wait to hear what Sharon and Jamie say. Sharon's the executive director of People First, and I believe Jamie works with Sharon today. I used to hold the job Jamie has. So Sharon, take it, or I'm sorry, Jamie, take it away. Tell us something about you.
So I'm Jamie Duplichat, and have really gotten involved in the advocacy world about 6 years ago. But I was injured in a car accident back in '95. I was 15 and thought that, you know, my hopes for the American dream or what all women want was over. You know, whenever I started receiving benefits, it was okay. Well, you can't have anything more than $2,000 like on hold. So I couldn't have a savings account with over $2,000. And I was like, well, okay, I want to live on my own, but how do I do that if I don't have the money to? I'll never be able to own my own home. I'll never be able to have a vehicle in my name. How am I going to do this? And then Able Accounts came about, which gives me the opportunity. Well, and now I have a job. So, which would make it harder for me to have money, like to be able to save anything. And if I make too much money, then I would have to spend money on unnecessary things in order to keep my money down because I didn't want to lose benefits. My benefits, and I'm okay with losing the Social Security, the cash benefits, but I survive solely on Medicaid and Medicare. It's very important to me. I can't lose those. So now that I have the Able account, I'm able to place money there that I don't want to spend and save it for a new vehicle and eventually my own home. And so that's why the Able Accounts very, very important. And so I'll pass it over to Jeff and Sharon.
Jamie, before you leave me, let me ask you a question. When you put in, Sharon might go into this deep, I'm not sure. When you put money in the ABLE account, does that do you have to specify what that money's for?
When I'm putting it in there, Jeff, I don't. But I do want to say that if I want to pull anything out of it, I would have to specify if it's going towards my like health, like, you know, needs, or if I'm going to be putting it towards a house, or because it's definitely there for education or, you know, different specific parts. But Sharon can talk more about that. I don't know all of the details, Jeff.
Okay, thank you, Jamie. It was a pleasure seeing you, and I miss you a lot.
All right.
With
We
that,
miss you too, Jeff.
thanks a lot. That means a lot. Sharon, can you tell us a little about you?
I'm the director of People First of Louisiana. I don't know really what you want to know about me. I'll answer any questions within reason.
Maybe you can go a little deeper into how you set up an ABLE account and what needs to happen.
Sure. Well, let's start off with what are ABLE accounts. There are accounts that are set up. You can go to the next slide. There are accounts that were set up to allow us to save money without jeopardizing our benefits. And that is the most important thing that it does. Anybody with it could theoretically go open up a savings account, but it's not going to be protected. It's not going to be disregarded by administrative programs. And that's what the ABLE account does. It sets up a quote disregard, so that when like Medicaid or Social Security or anything like that, housing, food and nutrition stuff, determines your eligibility or how much your benefit will be, that the disregard says that it cannot be counted. So that's largely what it does. Now, there are some rules as to who is eligible for it. A person with a disability that occurred before age 26. That's a rather arbitrary age, and the age limit came about during the last month or so of the legislation being passed by Congress. And it was actually a way to get it passed, because it had been in the legislation for about 10 years that there was no age limit. But in order to get it passed, they did set up an age limit. Right now, before Congress, there is legislation to increase that age limit from 26 to 46. And we're hoping that will be increased, that will allow more people to participate in the program, but we will see what happens. So you do have to be determined to meet the eligibility requirements. Now, basically, the eligibility requirements are the age of the onset and the average disability. Now, to determine eligibility, they use the same functional limitation criteria as Social Security. That does not mean that you have to be receiving or ever have received or ever even applied for any form of Social Security. It just means they use the same process, so that if you do receive Social Security, you're automatically granted eligibility as far as the disability is concerned. But please keep in mind that just because they use the same criteria, you do not have to receive Social Security. You can actually even have contact a physician and get them to provide a written statement, such as an IEL, or just a statement saying what the disability is and the onset of the disability, what age. Okay, next slide. Okay, let's talk a little bit about what some of the terminology they use. It's not a whole lot, but it is important. The person with a disability is the one that's going to benefit from it. And they're known as the owner of the account and the beneficiary. Now, if that person is able to handle their own affairs, they're also, the administrator. However, if they are not capable of handling their own affairs, a legal guardian or a legal entity may be the administrator. And when we say legal entity, that can mean someone like a provider is able to do it. Now on the website, we'll show that at the end and how you go about setting up the account and stuff. There's a packet for the administrator and tells them what documentation they have to have, and also the legal guardian. Okay, next slide. Okay, now anyone can contribute to your account. It has to be in cash or automatic clearinghouse deposits. Those are that at least for the Louisiana's account, able accounts. States have different rules, and some states go together to provide like 5 states and form one entity that does do this. But Louisiana's isn't. And you can only have one able account. The basic limitations of what you can put into the account is tied to the federal gift tax. It's the same amount, and it can change theoretically yearly. Since this was passed in 2014, it has changed 3 times. It was 14, 15, now it's 16,000 a year. In addition to that, people that are employed are able to contribute an additional amount. In addition to the basic $16,000 a year or the amount of the federal gift tax exclusion, people that are employed are able to contribute either the lesser amount, the lesser of either your actual wages or the amount of federal poverty level for the prior year, which is about 12,500. It's around there. It has been for several years now. It's been changed a little bit, but not much. So you would actually be able to contribute 16,000 plus whatever the amount was, either the lesser of your wages or the federal poverty level. Next question. That's slide right. Okay. This is important. What you can use the money for: education, housing, transportation, support, employment support, assisted technology, health and personal support, employment support, and any other expenses that are approved by the Secretary of the Treasury. Now, it's very important, especially for people that are receiving SSI. Now, people that are receiving SSI, there are some limitations to it. The balance in the account cannot be over $100,000. What happens then if it is over 100,000? Your SSI check will be suspended until the account goes back below 100,000. It will not be terminated. It will not, he'd say that you're no longer eligible for it, but it will be suspended. And this is basically because when SSI was originally established, it was earmarked for shelter and food. And so they keep a close watch on that you don't have excess money and you're still receiving a check. So know that is a question, but that's really the only issue. It would be suspended, it will not be terminated. And they actually interpret all of these categories quite liberally. Now, it's very important. It's kind of like Jane was saying. It's really important that you spend it on qualified expenses, because if you don't, if you take money out and say you went on vacation or whatever, that money becomes taxable income to you, and you have to pay a 10% penalty. It's also important to realize that able accounts are for cash only. If you have property or you have a great deal of money over and above what can be sheltered with an able account, you need to consider other types of resources to enable it, like a special needs trust or whatever. Okay, next slide. Okay, our ABLE account is handled by the Office of Student Financial Affairs. That is because the ABLE accounts are classified as 529A accounts by IRS, and the accounts that are set up for student tuition, or money for saving for the student tuition, are 529 accounts. And so they had they were able to handle the ABLE, get it set up and running and handle it right away. This national resource is actually a very good, if you have any questions in someone, they can provide a lot of answers. And the website for the ABLE account, the Louisiana ABLE account, is also a very good website. It has frequently asked questions, and it will answer a lot of the questions that you have that you are concerned about. And Jamie, I see your hand raised.
I did want to say that there are different ABLE accounts. If you do research into them, you can, because some will work for you better than others. I do know that much. It just takes research and finding what fits better for you.
Can you elaborate?
Well, I spoke to an attorney who consulted me whenever I was starting my ABLE account. And so there's the one that I chose to go with is the stable account. I can't remember what, I think it's through Ohio. But and I can't elaborate on it because I don't know a whole lot about it. So it's just one that fit me better than Louisiana's.
Let me clarify what you're saying. The actual ABLE account itself and the structure of it is the same. Some different states and so on offer different options. The investment options and so on are chosen by the state or by the group. That's what you're saying.
That's what I'm talking about. Thank you, Sharon.
I
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to confuse anybody.
well, no, when you said there are different able accounts, I'm thinking, well, why didn't somebody tell me I'm the one that worked on this for 6 years? But
No, the investment options are different.
the investment options are different, and you will receive all the information, and they will actually, the people that answer the questions and so on at the able account are very helpful. They have a contact information and so on, and they are very helpful, and they do answer questions and so on that you might have. But keep in mind, this is for cash only. If you do have other resources, you will have to address them in a different way. Can I answer any questions? Okay, the contact information will be provided as well. There's my information and also Kelly Monroe's information, and either one of us will be able to assist you.
Sharon, I do have a question. You kind of figured I would.
Okay.
Is this a federal thing? I mean, I know it won't be called the same thing, but does every state have something like this?
They don't have to have, but the last time I checked, there was like 43 of the states had something. They had able accounts. The able account is actually federal legislation, and they can work that. The disregard and so on is federal. And then the states had to get their own legislation after the federal legislation passed. So I think ours has been in effect since 2016. We were actually one of the first states to get able accounts established. When we were the first one to get the state legislation to it.
So can I just pop on that website and open one up, or do I have to have counsel or somebody in my corner?
No, you can open up an account anywhere, that's fine.
Wow, that's good content. Thank you, Sharon.
Yes.
Jamie and Sharon, would y'all like any closing remarks before we move on to our panel?
I'm okay.
I just want to just say that, it's a great deal to look into. And if you want to save money and, in hopes that because you can own a vehicle and your own home, it's possible with the help of an able account. So if that's what you're looking for and you want to look into it, just reach out to someone and we'll help you.
So I got a question for you, Jamie.
Uh-huh.
I'm a big fan of outreach. If you've been on every seminar, I always talk about outreach. In the RAC meetings, I talk about outreach. I feel like, how do we get the word out? I mean, what's our role in letting people know who are looking for employment? I mean, they're mind boggled about all this stuff. And what if they're not aware of the able account? What can we do better?
I think that's a question that we all have. Just like my big question is, how can we get more individuals with disabilities excited about getting involved in the advocacy world and getting more of these things for outreach and getting more of these things popping for us, Jeff? Like, what do we do? What can we do? It's one of those unanswered questions.
I mean, I told you about a conversation I had with somebody who reached out to me from Mississippi and told me about his life. And I brought up the able account. And I hardly know, I know more now than I knew 3 days ago. But I looked in the mirror and I said, I don't even know about what I'm referring to people. And it really makes me look in the mirror and say, what can I do different? What can we do different to let people know, hey, this is an option. Hey, LRS is there. Hey, people like Liz and Ray are there. You know, let's get the ball rolling. Let's get, so.
I completely agree, Jeff.
So thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Sharon. It's great seeing y'all. I miss y'all. And at this time, I want to invite the panelists to
Yes.
come. Go ahead, Sharon.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I see that we got a couple of comments in the chat. Let's see. To begin with, you were right about the legislation from championed by someone, and they lobbied it quite a bit. The legislation actually took 8 or 10 years to actually go through and to get passed. And it was actually lobbied by a great deal. I think the National Down Syndrome Association and UCP all worked on it for years and years. It's quite a bit to get through. However, the comment about very qualifying expenses is a little bit misleading. The actual qualifying expenses are the same. In different states, they've had different experiences with things that are considered under the qualifying expenses. So, but the actual qualifying expenses are the exact same as set by legislation. But you have Harlan, thank you for that comment. And you were correct. Some programs offer debit cards and different ways of doing it. We do not do that here in Louisiana. That hasn't been set up yet, or hasn't been set up as something that can be done. But it is so you might want to check. You can actually, if you go up on that, I think the website for the National Resource Center has the different programs and stuff, and you can actually contact them or look on their website and see what they offer, and see if that will work better for you. Because you can actually enroll in anyone you want to. But I will say that we are able to, we have it here, and that we do provide most of the same thing. And
So Sharon, what happens come tax season? Do I need to report this?
do you need to report, wait, for what?
Like the end of the year tax season, do I need to let people know, like the federal government? Is
No.
it something? No?
There's no, but it's just like a savings account.
All right, good. Thank you, Sharon. Wow, I learned a lot the last hour. Thank you. I want to encourage y'all, I'll repeat myself, to use the chat button. Ask us some questions. We got 4 or 5 panelists. I want to take a minute and thank Harlem and Stuart for their comments. I mean, we all added to this. At this point, I'd like to invite all my panelists to turn their camera on, and let's have a brainstorming session.
This
What
time
I
you
like.
can see me.
What's that, Stuart?
Said this time you can see me.
Yeah, there you go. I like it.
Welcome back, Stuart.
I usually ask a general question, where do we go from there? And I'll stick with that, and I'll give each panelist, if they would like to answer it, I guess, where do we go from here in your area expertise? So we'll start with Jamie. Jamie, what steps do we need to go to put this seminar in action?
Well, I guess I don't know really where to go with that, Jeff. But I know that, but and I'm gonna go back and just kind of touch on the benefits planning and how important it's been to me, because it has kept me out of losing what I could. However, I still can't work a full-time job if I wanted to, because if I did and I made anything over $2,200 a month, I would lose my independence, because it would take my waiver program away from me. And that's how I survive independently and have a great quality of life. So, what do we do? What can we do to change those things? As far as the ABLE account, I mean, I'm so grateful to have that. And I'm grateful to have the job that I do have and be able to bring that in, and it helps me to live, and it helps me to, I'm able to travel and do things that I want to do. And I'm able, I always want, after I acquired my disability, I just wanted to be able to live life like nothing had ever happened. And having a job now, I'm pretty close to being able to do that. And so that's what I have to say.
I guess where I want to go, and we got like 5 or 10 minutes, my original, I brought this up earlier, if I need PCA services and I want to go to work, do I have any options? Or is it either this or that? Or is there anything we can do to, Ray, can you help me?
in regards to that, I can only speak to the services that WIPA can provide to those on today's program. I just put in the chat box the toll-free number to the helpline to the Ticket to Work program. If that is the entry port to a one-on-one conversation with myself or Liz in regards to the services and support that our part of the Ticket to Work initiative can provide. So get that process started. We promise you that it'll take no more than 3 to 5 business days for us to return your phone call, depending on the how busy we are at the time that your referral comes into our programs. But we want to be able to speak to you about what's next. What can you anticipate? What would be the results of your decision to pursue work while receiving benefits from Social Security? And our job is to allow you to be the captain of this ship, and we will, again, give you the information to make an informed decision about what is best for you. You know, this isn't driven by Social Security or us specifically, but what is it that you're seeking, and how can we best assist you in getting to the employment goal that you're seeking?
Thank you so much, Ray. I want to encourage you. We have a lot of information in the chat box, and there's still a lot of questions to be answered. Let's take advantage of seeing what those websites are. And this afternoon or this weekend, go to these websites and see everything we have to offer, because it's a lot. What we covered is a lot of content. Ms. Boyle, do you have any closing remarks?
Yes, I wanted to iterate to our audience. It's very important that you reach out to us. A lot of the Ticket to Work incentives that are in place are underutilized, and we want to change that. These incentives that Social Security put in place is to your benefit. And so, and if it's going to be of value to you, you need to determine that. And the only way that you can really determine that is reach out to us. We really are here, and we want to provide that information to you all so that you can make informed decisions.
Thank you, Brenda. I appreciate you. Liz?
I say where we go from here is to share the information that you've heard today, share the phone number, share the websites, and get people to make the phone call.
Sharon, before I start running my mouth, do you have any closing remarks?
Not really, no.
I want to
Not to have
thank.
spoken on.
Jeff Stewart has his hand raised.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you, Stuart.
I wanted to ask Jamie. I wanted to ask you since I was should I say, since I was so enthusiastic about losing my benefits in order to get something greater, why are you so attached to your waiver? I mean it helps you it helps you live independently, but but if you got a salary that matched your job, wouldn't you be able to live independently on that salary?
Probably I would have to make a lot of money, Stuart, because my waiver program provides me 24-hour care, as I'm an individual who requires total care. My caregivers are my hands and feet for everything that I need to do for myself. And and also like to find a private insurance that would cover something like that is unimaginable. Like, I mean, I think it's probably close to impossible.
I would have to agree with that.
I see where you're going with that. So it's kind of hard for you to find a job whose benefits would be greater than what you would lose, which is
Absolutely.
what I stress in looking for a job.
Absolutely. If I could, I mean, if I was able to, I mean, I would love to do it. But my health and my quality of life depends on that health care.
Yeah, and it's an interesting to hear a point of view that contrasts with my own.
Right.
And what Ray was saying earlier, you sit down with Ray or Liz and you kind of talk about your needs. You don't talk about other needs. You talk about what I need versus what I can potentially make. And we have to make that decision. That's our life. That's our reality. So thank you, Stu and Jamie. Really good content. Some closing remarks from me before I turn it over to my leader, Laura. I really enjoyed this conversation. The whole benefit planning was educational to me because as a professional, I need to know this information. So when people come to me, I know where to send them. I don't have to be an expert in what you guys are expert in, but I do need to know, hey, you can go to Liz Fussell. You can go to Ray Lachey, Brenda Boyle, Sharon Hennessy. That's the power. Jamie Duplessis, Stuart Simon, the power of these seminars. If we're all here for each other. You got a few minutes before I turn it over to Laura for any remarks, any questions out there. We got a few minutes. I want to encourage you to look at the calendar. We do have our keynote. We're ending this series. What an opportunity to be involved in this series. Register for the keynote speaker, Sue Kellum. I believe Stuart works with Sue every day. So Ray knows Sue, most of us know Sue. Really, really looking forward to you. I invite you to register. I invite you to do some outreach. Let people know what's going on. I want to take a minute and thank each and every one of y'all. And at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Laura.
Thank you, Jeff. What a great conversation. I think it's rare that we're able to have this many subject matter experts in one room. And if there's anything that really stands out to me today, it's really the importance of utilizing the resources and getting that word out, right? We've got a lot more work to do to make sure that we're communicating what these resources are. And I hope that we're able to continue to do that in this series. I do invite you back on June 21st. I really recommend that you come and attend that session. It's going to be a really great way to wrap our whole session up. It'll have a little more information about resources throughout the whole of the series, which started on March 22nd. We'll be sharing the website with you post-event today. So please check that website out. It has recordings of every single one of these webinars if you missed those. Please share those with a colleague or friend. I did want to bring to your attention as well, there is the registration link again in the chat box, but we're also going to provide the survey. We really would love for you to give us a little input on this session today. We're constantly trying to improve this series even as we move into next year. So please take a minute to do that. We're also going to email that to you with the post-event information today. I encourage you to continue to have conversations with your peers and with each other. We look forward to seeing you on June 21st. And I really just want to thank this panel for so much extra work that they put into the session today. Thank you guys so much for your time and energy. I look forward to Thursday. If you have a friend or colleague who might benefit from the benefits planning, you see how I did that? We'd love for you guys to invite them. The registration link, maybe snag that from the chat box, share that with a friend or colleague, and we'll be doing this session again on Thursday. So thanks so much, everyone, for attending and for the panel. See you on Thursday.